Percy Shelley, the most famous writer and one of the greatest romantic poets in English literature, could not swim. Though he had recently been involved in a boating accident in a canal one night in which he was nearly drowned, he and several friends decided to spend the summer of 1822 sailing on the Bay of Lerici in Italy. And then, it happened. Walking along the beach to their beachfront terrace, alone one night, a figure approached him coming the opposite way. A very familiar figure. It was himself. Stunned, Shelley watched as the phantom silently pointed to the Mediterranean Sea, and then vanished. Not much long after, and shortly before his 30th birthday, Shelley died in a sailing accident, drowned in the Mediterranean Sea. So what did Percy Shelley see that night? It wasn't a ghost because he hadn't died yet. It wasn't a look-alike. Somehow, it was him. Was it an omen? Was it another hallucination? Or was it
a doppelganger? Question mark?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, how's it going? Welcome to Paranoia Shoppe, and also that great theme song that sounded like Sgt. Pepper.
Or some sort of monster carnival. I'm Aaron Walke, and
I'm Chad Quan. Oh, so you're passing to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing a little pass to
this is a good foreshadowing for how the rest of these podcasts are going to
go. So this is a podcast, as we mentioned before, called The Paranoia Shoppe, where we'll be discussing the supernatural, conspiracy theories, the freaky, general weirdness, and probably making fun of them all.
It's like Ripley's Believe It or Not minus Dean Cain.
And legitimacy.
Minus the store on Hollywood where tourists go there and homeless people pee in the corner.
Instead, you at home are the tourists being ripped off for $15.
And I am the one peeing in the corner of your mind. And
of your soul.
And Aaron is the weird guy in metal paint who stands in front of it, like he pretends like to be a robot, and tourists go by there, and then he moves and goes, "Ooh!" And a little 13-year-old girl goes, "Oh!" And then she laughs, but she's terrified.
And then some guy comes by and tries to mess with me, and I can't move because I'm a robot. But then someone comes up and puts $1, and I just deck him out.
Oh, your life is you have the saddest life. This is how the podcast works out. So welcome, thanks for joining us. Aaron wrote that short story in the beginning, didn't you?
It was actually based on true events, though. Percy Shelley, which you may be aware is the father of Mary Shelley, author of Frankenstein, another interesting quasi-doppelganger story, which I guess now is a good a time as any to segue. What is a doppelganger? I think a lot of us have heard the term kind of bandied about.
I think it's an Irish strikebreaker, right?
It very well may be, but that's not, I don't know. But that's not the use that we're referring to. In fact, doppelganger is a quasi-mythological, fairly surprising common recurrence where if you see a version of yourself that is identical to you, obviously it's not you. There's this sense of uncanny, it's creepy, and it's been recorded for a long time throughout history as this incident whenever you see, yourself somewhere else. Like, what does that mean?
Questions. So clarifications.
Yeah.
Pod person. Doppelganger? Alien pod person.
I would say that's more of a clone. I guess in the right circumstance, it could be a doppelganger.
Okay. Long lost twin, not a doppelganger. Actual just long lost twin, right?
It might be a doppelganger until you realize that it's your twin, and then in which case it would just be your twin.
So basically, doppelganger is more like, I'm scared. I'm scared of the doppelganger.
Yes, the doppelganger, I think, is a symbol of the unknown, of like, why am I seeing a version of myself? That's not in a mirror.
Okay, I know I can go with that. We could just talk about what are doppelgangers for a good hour. I feel like we could just keep saying that. But to spare all of you guys, and also, Jesus, why would you want to listen to that, is we actually wanted to try to dig in through some of our own personal favorite versions of these types of paranoias or conspiracy theories per episode.
Yeah.
I know I picked one that's very close to my heart because I don't know science or fiction or knowledge of things besides pop culture.
And I have one too, which is something I just found from perusing the internet. Before we get into those, though, I had a few very quick examples.
Okay. Just general doppelgangers?
Just to give people an idea of...
Doppelgangers across time.
First of all, there's a really famous story called the story of Emily Saig.
Oh, of course, the famous story of Emily Saig.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a thing that kept popping up over and over, like, oh, everyone knows this story about Emily Saig from the 19th century. By the way, you'll notice that most of these stories are going to be from the 19th century, conveniently before there were camcorders and, things that could prove.
Oh, you mean doppelgangers, just in general stuff?
Stories.
I just also think everything we ever cover on this will probably also just be from a time when the internet was not around, but we'll be surprised. Emily Saig sounds like a girl you'd make fun of in middle school.
Yeah. Emily Saig, or Sagi.
Oh.
Sage was apparently a 7-year-old girl in like a small school in France.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the middle of class one day, while she was writing on the chalkboard, her exact double appeared beside her and began copying the teacher's every move as she wrote. Except it wasn't holding any chalk. And supposedly 13 students all witnessed this. And then it was reported at dinner the next evening.
wait, were the children all having their dinner together? Was it like Madeline?
I think it must have been like a Madeline school.
Oh my god, why was there not a Madeline episode where there was like ghosts?
I don't know.
Instead of it was just like, I think every Madeline episode was I gotta help an old lady across the street. I think that was every Madeline episode.
And the story goes on, apparently they see her a couple more times in gathering flowers, and then
really boring.
Else.
If you're gonna be a doppelganger, like, do more interesting shit than to answer math questions and pick flowers. Like,
yeah. What's interesting with this one is that Sagi herself apparently never saw her own doppelganger. It was only the other students. But that sounds preposterous to me.
That sounds like
a school
prank. This is a prank. This is all
that's we're all going to give
prank. We're all going to give someone a goof. We're all going to tell Emily, that stupid bitch, Emily Sagi, 7-year-old hoe. Let's all just tell her we saw a double of her, and all she's like, "What? You saw?" I was like, "Oh yeah, there was another one of you we saw. She's scary. You should be scared." And she just freaked out and told that story to her grave.
Yeah. Another really interesting instance that I came across was there's another French author, Guy de Maupassant. He's a very famous short story author from the 19th century. Apparently, on his deathbed, he reportedly kept seeing a doppelganger of himself, like staring at him as he was trying to write down his last short stories. And he actually wrote a short story about the sensation that was causing for him. It was called Lui, or Him. And this short story was supposedly written while his doppelganger was staring at him.
This sounds like a way to sell a book.
It does.
That's pretty terrifying. The whole, would he not just write it? Like, so right now, a man is staring at me while I write this story.
Well, he wrote it. He was, maybe this was his way of exercising his demons. I don't know.
Yeah. Or what if your doppelganger gave you notes while you're writing it? Like, oh yeah, you think that's a really kind of?
I feel like that was a little excessive there. Maybe
did you just use the definition of a word to set up your chapter?
So you're saying?
That's a little hacky.
So you're saying his doppelganger might be his own self-consciousness.
I'm just saying, if I was writing something and my doppelganger was watching me write it, he would talk shit to me while I write, like, oh, really? Another ripoff of a Joss Whedon line? Like a joke you just used from Firefly? You can't just write everyone as Mal, Chad. Everyone can't be Mal.
And Mal can't be really good friends with a character named Tad Jaunt.
Tad Jaunt. And also Sonic the Hedgehog is there, and you guys all run around and get chili dogs.
You're all like, Tad, you taught me everything I know.
That'd be the best if you're just writing, your doppelganger watches you write fan fiction, not like a serious thing.
I don't think self-insertion fan fiction counts as doppelgangers.
Okay. This is the short story he wrote while the doppelganger was looking at him. Okay.
Imagine it's 1893.
Dreaming of World War I.
That's about 30 years after the fact.
Dreaming of World War II.
Nope. Probably closer to the sinking of the Maine that caused the Cuban-American War.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Sorry, I got to drop a little American history on you. But imagine you are Guy de Maupassant. Your doppelganger is staring at you on your deathbed, and you're like, I can't write this down because people think I'm crazy, so I'm just going to write it into a short story form.
Oh,
and so the short story,
more acceptable, yeah.
So the short story is from the perspective of just a guy, the author, who was nervous about his wedding night or something, And then this guy just starts showing up in his house when he's asleep. And then he just wakes up and lights the candle, and he sees, here, I'll just read the passage.
Sure, go for it.
I felt that I was alone, and my room seemed to be more empty than it had ever been before. Perhaps rather feverish, my hands clasped behind me. Blah, blah, blah. And then he goes on to, I went in and found my fire still burning, so that it had lighted up the room a little. And while in the act of taking up a candle, I noticed someone sitting in my armchair by the fire, warming his feet with his back towards me. I could see nothing of my friend but his head. I saw him quite distinctly, his right arm hanging down and his legs were crossed. Who could it be, I asked myself. And so I put my hand out to touch him on the shoulder and came in contact with the back of the chair. There was no one there. The seat was empty.
Wait, so it's not even a doppelganger, it's a ghost.
It goes on.
Okay.
And he says he gets freaked out, and then he goes and takes a walk, and goes, has dinner, and comes back. And then it basically gives him...
boring short story.
It gives him an early version.
I decided to go for a stroll. Got some fast food.
Well, you have to remember he's on his deathbed, so this is like wish fulfillment for him.
Oh, okay.
He can't go out.
Okay.
He can't go out and go get a snack.
Not like I went to go flew across the clouds. It was I went across the street and got a sandwich.
I just want to have a sandwich for my friend.
What a nice sandwich before I die.
And then he basically goes on to have like an early version of PTSD, that this guy is just haunting him wherever he goes, and he says, I cannot remain at home because I know he is there. I know I shall not see him again, for he will not show himself again. That is all over, but he is there all the same in my thoughts. He remains invisible. It is very stupid. It's dreadful. What am I to do? I cannot help it.
A less reliable source of a doppelganger than a man on his deathbed who's seen all sorts of things.
And yet, I somehow believe that more than the Emily Sage story.
Well, because Emily Sage is a bitch.
Yeah. Well, her classmates are a bitch.
No, I think listen, when an entire class decided someone's stupid, they kind of have a point. If it's like this is like half and half. What I'm saying is, if you got made fun of in elementary school by everyone, you deserved it. You had it coming. So
you're saying that Emily Sage was probably doing something really dorky.
I'm saying she was being like a gross girl, like probably
okay.
eating scabs or something, or like she probably was always trying to go up to the board and answer questions when she shouldn't, when she didn't fucking know what she was talking about. And then the classmates like, we need to get her. We need to get her bad and cause emotional turmoil. And they were all inventive and came up with this fun short story.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna point holes in all of these because here's the thing. I am ruined by the internet now, in that when you were reading that to man about the short story about his doppelganger, and it didn't go into I tried to suck my own dick, like that own thing. Like I'm just so used to that just being an erotic fan
immediately
fiction
going
thing.
to some weird 4chan realm.
Well, no, just like that sort of like if I saw a man and he was there and he was me, and I had never looked at myself so good before, and that the way that my shirt fit on my body, I had to touch him, and then just goes and like that's just how I see all of those go.
By the way, you just earned the MA rating on the podcast. I think we were clean up until that point.
We lasted for about like 5 seconds, 5 minutes.
Yeah,
we can bleep it out with like a scary organ.
Rainbows. Just take that word and put it back there.
Butterfudge. The best type of fudge.
He sucked his own fudge.
He sucked his own lollipop.
Yeah.
French croissant.
So here's another interesting anecdote.
Okay.
This is yet another 19th century author, the famed German poet Wolfgang von Goethe. You may have heard of him. He wrote Faust.
Oh, I know it's a character in Guilty Gear.
He was apparently riding down the road, going to visit a friend, and as he was riding, he suddenly saw himself coming the other way in like a gray outfit with gold trimming on a bicycle, and he was like, I've never owned that suit. Why am I suddenly hallucinating myself in this suit?
He has a problem with the suit, not the fact that there's a doppelganger.
Well, both. He was just he remembered it all clearly, and it haunted him until like 9 years later. He's going down the same road, and he sees himself wearing the suit that he wore 9 years ago, and then he looks down and he realizes he's wearing the gray suit with gold trimming that he was wearing.
Like he had bought it and been wearing it and hadn't realized.
Which begs the question, was he somehow seeing himself from across time?
Yeah, see, that's actually my favorite way to always interpret any sort of doppelganger, or like my personal theory is if I ever see someone be like, oh, it's like a very popular thing now, like I just ran into you, like 10-year older you. Like, I was like, it could just be future me. It could be time traveling me.
Like 12 Monkeys or something.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. That's what
there's something about time travel.
Is.
Like, I could totally, if time travel was possible, I could totally be like, go back and like, oh, I remember when I had hope. I remember when I loved a girl, and like, and you just watch from afar, like, you can't interrupt because you already know how Back to the Future time streams.
So would that be the
work.
equivalent of just like a really sad soap opera in the future? Like that's entertainment to go back and look at the best times of your life from a distance and just pine.
It'd be a time of nostalgia
days.
For sure. There's definitely would be like a time traveling rental tourist system where like you're allowed to go back to stuff where you can't interact with anything like really dangerously, but like you could go back and live like so. You could go back to the 80s and just like you're allowed to go to like one arcade and just like with like a roll of quarters and go nuts in here and just play around. You can't talk to anyone, can't kiss any girl, but like if you want to just play some old Pac-Man with all these other kids and act like and be really ensure like you can escape to these like little isolated pockets where they know they won't
I
hurt
fantasized about that.
Hurt anyone?
I've occasionally turned around real quick to see if I could see someone who looked like an older version of me.
Yeah.
Or maybe just to see if there are, people that are taking a specific interest in me in case they are tourists. Like, oh, this is what Aaron was like before he became the world changing.
Oh, you're thinking like in a very narcissistic, tourists will come back to see you before you became the dictator tyrant that you were.
Yeah, and they
shot down and had to murder.
Like historians, time traveling
historians would come back and go like, oh, look at him go, look at him buying that Trader Joe's.
He's just eating
some frozen gyoza,
shitty sushi in that strip mall.
He's going maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what motivated him.
If he had died of eating that sushi, we wouldn't have had World War IV.
To weirdly kill all the Italians. I wonder if that's why he liked sushi so much. Like he blamed. Like that, you just start to make these weird reaches, but like, and you just say like Aaron, you look around like really like present. You just like you hear your name. every time you ever think you hear your name means time travelers from the future are watching you somewhere in the crowd, and quietly trying to observe you. Like,
and
go to the movies.
I'm pretty sure that just means that all paranoid schizophrenics are correct. Like they're not crazy.
No. They're all people of importance in the future.
In an alternate timeline.
Oh yeah, that could also be. Oh, that'd be also kind of crazy.
That's actually kind of an interesting sci-fi.
To go back to another timeline to see what could have been of another person, like Animorphs, the great popular. There was like this time when Animorphs got really off the rails really quick. But at one point they go time traveling back to World War II.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Animorphs gets weird. Animorphs, in case you don't know, is a book where to fight aliens, a group of young teens get a hold of some other alien technology that allows them to transform into any animal they touch, basically. Yeah. So, like, for 2 hours at a time, they can turn into a falcon or a walrus or an ant. Not really that exciting, but they just use it to infiltrate. It's kind of really boring when you think about it, like, I'm a tiger. But when you're fighting aliens, and at one point they go back in time, and it's like halfway through they're in World War II, just like trying to killed Nazis, but there's like bears. They just turn into bears and eat Nazis. Kind of great. They just noticed that like Hitler is one of the vehicle drivers. Like he's like a low rent assistant or like a lieutenant somewhere in an army.
Kill him.
They argue over killing him. It's like deep time travel discussion because Rachel, the very aggressive like warrior, goes like, it's Hitler. We should kill Hitler. And everyone's like, we can't kill Hitler. But we don't know yet. He's just a nice guy who likes to paint right now. So would she just turn into a hawk and claw his eyes out or something? They should have done something. They should have just blinded him.
I feel like that would make him a more aggressive dictator.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe.
Anyway, we're getting way off topic.
No.
Unless we're going back in time to view yourself as Johann von
I like that theory a lot, though.
That is a concept called bilocation.
What do you mean?
Which is literally the act. It's not that you're seeing some supernatural creature that's taken your form, a la a pod person.
Okay.
But rather, you are seeing literally yourself somehow projected into another time and space.
That's interesting, because my general fear of doppelgangers is always something that's trying to take me away. Like some sort of replace me, or is more sinister. Like it might be, but it's a dark version of me. I never think of like, if I think doppelganger, I don't think friendly version of me that just wants to say hello. It's always like a insidious.
Right. And a good portion of the mythology is talking about doppelgangers as if they are bad omens. Like if you see a doppelganger, it means that something bad is going to happen to you.
Here's one point I kind of want to put into is I noticed this because I took a photo of had a photo of myself taken today, and I noticed every time I look at a photo of myself, I look different to myself in photos than when I do in a mirror. Like this idea of your own perception of yourself in your mind, be it like bad body image, be it like overconfidence. I think you actually do when you look in the mirror, you're seeing a different visual image of yourself. It's the same idea when you hear your voice on a recording and you're like, oh, my voice sounds different.
Right now.
Like right now, listening to it like on a voicemail. So I wonder if you think you see a doppelganger, if you're really just seeing someone who looks kind of like you, but in your mind, they look like what you think they look like. You understand what I'm saying? Like I might see 1990s David Hasselhoff walking down the street. He's like, I think that's my doppelganger. That's my doppelganger right here. The guy, my doppelganger's on Baywatch. I freak out because in my mind, I am a burly-chested, hairy German pop star.
Interesting you should mention mirrors, though, because I actually have a story of Abraham Lincoln seeing
please
his
tell me
doppelganger.
Okay, all right. Hit me up with this Abraham Lincoln story.
Apparently, it haunted Lincoln towards the end of his days through the long winter. On the eve of his election win, looking into a bureau mirror across the room, he saw himself full length, but with two faces, one paler than the other.
What?
He mixed in the election excitement and tried to forget, but he couldn't. And then it showed up again. Lincoln told his wife about it, and he later tried to make the illusion come back, and it worked.
Whoa, wait. Hey, Mary, hold on a second. I know you're crazy. But
so you're saying that Lincoln may have driven his wife mad?
I think he drove her crazy with his dark magic, his dark mirror magic, or she was crazy and maybe she was getting over it. Like maybe she's been going through all of that over time. Like, and Abraham was like, Mary, I know you're mentally unstable right now, but come in here. Hold on a second. Oh, booga, booga, booga. And then he lifts up his shirt and there's another like Lincoln head underneath his shirt. And she just goes, oh, God. And then
everyone's just like, oh, poor Abraham Lincoln.
Poor Lincoln. Just suffered with his crazy wife.
So, yeah, apparently his wife saw it and said that it was a sign that he would be elected to a second term. And then, of course, he was elected to a second term. He pushed through the 13th Amendment and then was assassinated.
Wait. Is this claim of Abraham Lincoln's like backed up? Like we know Abraham Lincoln believed he saw, or is this like a myth that Abraham
story
Lincoln...
confirmed by Mary Todd Lincoln, crazy Mary Todd.
Okay, so Abraham Lincoln is a dark mage. That is all that means.
And Private Secretary John Hay, who was, I think, his gay lover.
What? Oh, is this like Log Cabin Republic? Is that what No, that's not what I think.
Well, maybe that's right. But no, that's been pretty well documented that he certainly slept with his secretary.
Why is neither of these things in Lincoln, the Steven Spielberg movie?
Well, there actually is. There's a scene where he's like asleep and then his secretary's lying next to him. And Lincoln wakes up and then John Hay's like, are you okay?
And then he just rolls away. He's like, oh, yeah. Like
sorry, it was just my dark doppelganger.
There was that. Okay, there was that scene in Congress where Lincoln had to like close a dimensional portal and battle a hell demon summoned by Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. And then
that's right. Okay, it's set up.
It was right after the 13th Amendment passed.
And he closed it.
And then the portal to hell
opened. Demon of racism burst through.
Yeah, and the racist Democrats were like, no, what have you done?
No, yeah. Lee Pace, or whatever his dumb name is from Pushing Daisies, summoned a racism demon. And he came through, and Abraham Lincoln's like, oh, all right, guess we gotta do this shit again. And then fought him with a fiery, like, astral sword. I like that. Wow, Lincoln gets cooler every time.
I actually like that story better than that stupid Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter.
Oh, God.
I like it better of him just being a dark mage fighting his evil duplicate.
Or fighting the demon of racism. which
his evil duplicate.
I imagine it's just like an old white man with like whips for arms. I want to start drawing that.
Whips for arms and then just
in my middle school notebook.
Pinned to him.
Oh yeah, pages of Bible pinned to him, and just like 3 balls and no dick. I don't know why. For some reason, I feel like that's important.
Once again, 3 fudges.
3 fud. Wait, no. Let's 3 lollipop squares. 3 lemon squares. 3 lemon squares.
And no plate.
And no plate to put them on.
Darn it.
Oh, darn.
What a demon that guy is.
I hate black people because I have all these lemon squares.
Says the racist demon, not Chad.
Says the racism demon.
Not Chad.
Okay, anything else besides? I don't know if you can top Abraham Lincoln as a racism demon.
No, I think that we should probably cap it there.
Hi, my name's Joey.
Hi, my name's Kyle.
I'm Kim.
I'm Brian. We are all on a show called LOLJK. You can listen to us over at www.godmakespoop.com at the home feed for Explosa Magico. I don't really know what we do, and I don't think we do most times either when we start recording, but come join us.
It's a lot of fun!
Live recorded chaos.
Yeah, if you like listening to people talk over each other, drinking beer, and yelling at each other, I suppose you'll have a good time
We
with
have
us.
all of the above.
That gives you a sense of kind of the range of the weird doppelganger occurrences that have been documented over the course of the last 200 years.
Well, right. Yeah, I think that's over the last two. But let's, if I may.
Yeah.
I actually, the one I brought, and I think I told you a little bit about is.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I want to go first because, modern day, I want to show it's not just old timey, wishy-washy doppelgangers. There's some hip, young, new, modern doppelgangers hitting the streets these days.
Well, let's set the mood a little bit.
Okay. All right. You got a music soundboard thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm really kind of worried about this. What is this? It's like, oh, okay. I thought it was like beautiful. I thought there was a song, Had a Bad Day for a second. I thought you were going to start putting that.
All right. So
I don't have a store. I'm just going to explain it to you.
Well, say it in a spooky way.
Okay. There was a man who was known for partying hard and rocking with his long hair and a dingy white shirt. Andrew WK. Still popular to this day, but very bigger more in the 2000s. And his hit single, Party Hard, and We Like to Party, and I Love New York City, and She is Beautiful. Andrew WK has possibly been a doppelganger, or has several doppelgangers working under the assumption or the identity of Andrew WK for the past 5 to 6 years. It started around 2004. I was not planning on doing this voice this entire time. That's fine. That's you doing this. It started around 2004, 2005, when people started to notice that Andrew WK started to look different. Either he gained weight, changed his facial hair. He started to come to shows, and people were pretty sure that's not Andrew WK. He acted strange. I'm gonna ban to that for a second.
Well, you out-talked the music.
I out-talked the song. Suck it, scary music. So the general idea is that Andrew WK, whose full name is Andrew Wilkes-Cryer, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Has become this kind of performance art thing where there might have been an original Andrew WK, but now there are just people pretending to be him at shows and public appearances.
So they found a lookalike or a doppelganger.
Which, to be fair, for Andrew WK, pretty easy to find people that look like Andrew WK. You could just get most guys.
He's just a slightly
in a mall,
doughy white guy.
With facial hair, stringy hair, facial hair, dirty, white shirt, white pants. I think you'll get away with it. There's like a few people I could just make look like that from like gas stations.
Yeah.
And people that work at GameStops. You could just make look Andrew WK if you just gave them money, sing along. I mean, it's not even like, you could play along with the piano, but you could pretend very easily. So the conspiracy seemed to get kicked off specifically around like 2004, or 2005 at a specific party where it was one of those things where like, it's just like a general complaint you might have made about him. But the idea is that at this, college radio show, he showed up and like did not talk to anyone. It's so dumb because it just started off out of nowhere. It's like people just started pointing it out, but it's all traced back to like a college radio show where he just did the show for free, but he wouldn't like talk to anyone. And it's told by like the college DJs that booked the show, people there. He came out, everyone just kind of like, who is this guy? This isn't Andrew WK. And then he left the show like covering himself in like a hoodie, like much like a Michael Jackson would. And then left and only wanted to be paid for like a plane ticket and like the cost of transportation. Didn't even ask for a lot of stuff. Could have just been like an imposter. It could have been like a Gallagher.
Yeah, it could have been anyone.
And I should reference for not at all a conspiracy theory, but like Gallagher, the watermelon comedian,
slash political commentator,
now racist slash guy who both these people who performed at the Dark Carnival.
Yes, the Juggalo gathering.
Juggalo thing.
Gathering
but
of
like,
the Juggalos.
The Juggalo, Gallagher had a brother, who went under Gallagher too. I'm trying to remember how it worked, but he's basically like, he started to perform as Gallagher at comedy shows at the height of Gallagher's career.
Yeah.
And collect the paychecks. And like Gallagher and Gallagher too had this kind of like understanding for a while that could happen. Is this kind of like, and you just have dumb Midwestern people who didn't know any better because you would just assume it's Gallagher. Right. Would go to see a show and like It's Gallagher.
But then as Gallagher became less popular, there was actually a following out because sometimes Gallagher 2 was actually booking bigger gigs than the original Gallagher was, pretending to be Gallagher.
Yeah.
And so that now Gallagher no longer talks to his brother because his doppelganger was trying to take over his life.
Which is incredibly sad.
Yes.
So the Andrew WK thing, it gets a little interesting in that if it was just, an idea of a rock star who has people doing their public appearances, which I assume happens a lot. I assume that happens a lot more than it actually does. There's like totally just far off stage shows where if you're smart with your cameras, you could always just have an imposter or like a lookalike just sing along to your music.
Yeah.
And get away with a lot of stuff.
I
Like
mean, they
mall
have
appearances.
There's a whole world of celebrity impersonators who do just that.
Yeah. So the factors for this one makes it a little interesting is that there's a name, Steve Mike, which is listed as a producer on Andrew WK's first major album.
Yeah.
He's listed as a producer, but no one knows who Steve Mike is. So some people think Steve Mike is Andrew WK's like real name.
Oh, interesting.
Like the personality who he is. Or Steve Mike might be the person that became Andrew WK and like took over for it.
Oh, okay.
And Andrew WK has been very kind of like elusive about this. Like he's clearly probably had fun with it at this point. No matter what, Andrew WK's, I loved it. By the way, first of all, love Andrew WK's music. It's really fun. It's just genuinely fun rock music. And he kind of embodies that like Tenacious D type thing where they're serious about it, but they're also making fun of themselves a lot. You can never really tell. I could see him hearing about this dumb conspiracy theory and just running with it and trying to hint on it.
Mm-hmm.
And he does look different. But gaining weight does a lot to a person's face and features.
It does. It stretches you out.
Oh man, it's just makes you all gross. Big old sausage. Just the skin.
So Andrew WK was claiming, "Hey guys, cut it out. It's not actually a doppelganger. I just put on some weight and got older."
He'd also just say like weird things like, the identity is whoever I want to be, man. Like he's just saying those kind of like weird general things that make you go like, wait, did you just admit to it or what are you doing? And a strange thing happened where Andrew WK went away for a while. His career was just kind of I think he was bigger in Japan because he had an album that came out in Japan like in 2006 and didn't come out into like the US until a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The album was published on his own indie record label, and then the record label like got into legal disputes, and they changed his record label name. I could look up was like something very generic like Windmill Records, and they changed. Through legal process, changed the record label that published this album to Steve Mike. They changed it to Steve Mike, and it obviously upset him, as if some sort of like "fuck you," some sort of from the studios to be like, who knows what that means? It means the studios just being like, "Listen, we know you're not really." So we're gonna change your name to Imposter, or like change the album name to like you're not the real Andrew WK. What they could have just done. Very strange, like very kind of weird, and how he's just let it go. And there's pictures of like I could kind of see it. There's also people who kind of think that Dave Grohl is Andrew WK at some point, or that Steve Mike might be Dave Grohl.
Again, that just ties into the
generic
looking
for it. Yeah, but the famous album cover for I Get Wet, where it's him with a bloody nose, supposedly hit himself with a brick until the blood came down for the photo shoot. Yeah. So I think that's Dave Grohl. And it kind of looks like Dave Grohl, but also looks like every grungy guy ever. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to tell. And this idea that like there might be multiple Andrew WKs or some weird level to it. Was he replaced? I mean, there's a difference in Andrew WKs too. That's the other thing. There's like different personas.
Oh, in terms of
just
what was
like
the first
same
one
look, but just
the
like the idea of this Andrew WK when he first came out, like very much like a rock caricature, headbanging, very much like rock anthem music. And then his next album came out as the change started happening. It was like more like kind of piano ballads. And now Andrew WK like hosts Destroy, Build, Destroy on Cartoon Network, like a reality series, or for Mythbusters for kids
for Cartoon Network.
And he has a weird tie to Taco Bell. This is what I am aware of.
Oh yeah,
like he has some unofficial sponsorship with Taco Bell, and I've only able to put this together because he was part of a strange Yahoo web series where it was like about fun bands, and the first episode was about Andrew WK. It's like these fake characters that just all hang out with like, so it was a weird way to promote music. And Andrew WK's entire plot was Andrew WK has a legendary black card. That's right. Unlimited Taco Bell. Like the entire plot revolved around him having, like that was the fun story idea. And 10 minutes of the 20-minute show is them just going to Taco Bell and eating a bunch of like fourth meals and hanging out. I was like, that's strange. That seems like product placement for Taco Bell.
It definitely sounds like product
weirdly
placement.
enough, so this is deep YouTube. There's a very cool gaming channel called Did You Know Gaming that does like deep inside knowledge of video games. For a parody, another YouTube channel called Silvermania did You Know Taco Bell? it was just actually interesting facts about Taco Bell. But they were able to get Andrew WK to narrate that episode for free because Andrew WK is apparently a big fan of Taco Bell.
So this is saying, what you're hinting at is that this is something that Andrew WK would never do, but Steve Mike
Mike or whatever,
out.
Or the new Andrew WK or whatever might have sold out.
Yeah.
The real Andrew WK might be tied up somewhere. Or the other theory that's very popular is like that maybe Andrew WK, like Steve Mike, Andrew WK, or Andrew Wilkes Kike or whatever his name was did I say racial slur? I think I just said a racial slur by saying Andrew Wilkes Kike. Was like when he had dance kid or doing a different music and he had to do this rock album to blow up and now he's just trying to reinvent himself. And I've seen him do really interesting stuff. You should look up a YouTube video of him at the Gathering of the Juggalos, just dancing around as kids boo him. Very interesting soul that you could see
spraying him down with Faygo like a fire hose.
Yeah, and the best theory I've made up so far is that Taco Bell got you into Andrew WK. Andrew WK came into a Taco Bell, and some young general manager was like, "Wait, we got him!" And they chloroformed him with a bunch of Taco Bell wrappers,
just old taco. They
just
didn't even use
spicy
chloroform.
sauce, or just like Baja. They used Mountain Dew Baja Blast, just concentrated.
Then threw him into the ground beef bin,
or just took him out and put in a new Taco Bell pot person made out of ground beef and weird guacamole and carne asada and sour cream, and he's now exists to subtly infiltrate America's youth and Pitchfork with Taco Bell. is my personal theory, and I think that should be the new theory for Andrew WK.
I like that. There are a couple similar concepts of famous figures, musicians supposedly dying, or like the most famous one obviously is the Paul is dead theory, which is supposedly, this is how the story goes, in 1963 Paul McCartney got into a car accident that was fatal, and panicked, his record producers found the number one Beatles cover band guy who happened to look like Paul McCartney slightly, gave him intense plastic surgery, and then had him take over on behalf of the Beatles, and then went on to be Paul McCartney for the majority of what became their transformative run all the way into 1970.
Do you know when Paul had the accident? Like that was like most after the breakup, right? That was like around Wings.
No, if it was 64, that would have been at the beginning of their career. The car accident was in
64?
That's what they're claiming. Which, if that's the case,
that means the Paul,
I don't care.
Yeah, that means the Paul we have
was
the
way
imposter.
better than the old one.
So the original Paul McCartney had like 2 songs. There was like Help maybe, and that was it. And then the new, like, Helter Skelter.
Yeah, and then the new one was like, I'm going to transform the face of music with Penny Lane.
It's where the imposter is better than the original source. That'd be like if someone took over, like, infiltrated the president and did
Sergeant
a better
Peppers.
job. Like, someone was able to do the plot of G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, where they infiltrate the president with many faces or whatever his name is.
They infiltrate the president, but then the president does a great
better job. Does a much better job.
He's not evil at all.
And the evil terrorist organization was like, dude, we told you to up like inflation. Gas prices need to be $50 a gallon.
And then he was just like, I want to help the poor, and I found out how to do it.
Do you know how low this country's education is? Do you know how low it is? And they're like, I don't know. It can be lower. I was like,
I'm refashioning our infrastructure to be more like the Netherlands.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was like,
okay, thank you, evil President clone.
Oh, here. Okay, hey, Cobra, would you like some water while you're here in the White House? Like, okay, thank you, Imposter Obama. I was like, did you like it? It's mud water that I ran through this free water filter that I built. I used my president powers to make that happen.
Yep.
Now every third world country has free water. You're welcome.
And his favorite music is Andrew WK and the Beatles.
And it's just like the best part is like, you fucked this up. And then everyone's okay with imposter. Like,
that's exactly what the Paul is dead thing is implying. And there's people obsessed with it. And there was a documentary, a fake documentary, it has to be fake, that just came out like a year ago that supposedly found the lost cassette tapes that George Harrison recorded shortly before he died of cancer, where it was him just explaining the whole thing and confessing to Paul McCartney being replaced by a clone. And
I have not heard these.
Well, what's hilarious is if you actually listen to the tapes, it's the worst Beatles impression you could ever hear. Like, it sounds like they were doing an impression of
someone
Ringo.
trying to be George Harrison, like, oi, I heard Paul had a car accident.
Like, hey, it was 1964. It sounds like Ringo, and they're claiming it's George.
No, I like it was just like not even the right accent. Like,
oh my,
Oh no, George I am George Harrison. Oh, Paul had a car accident.
I found these tapes.
I found his body.
We're blowing the lid off.
I don't know what
thing.
accent. It was Indian for a second, and
now
it's
Indian
like
to just kind of like
now it's like the fat kid from Willy Wonka that fell in the chocolate.
Augustus,
no, Augustus.
Oh, yeah, Augustus.
Oh, you stuck in the pipe, George Harrison.
But yes, that was supposedly the deep throat of the Paul is dead phenomenon was these fake tapes.
And you have obviously, well, there's not even Doppelgänger, just Tupac. That's a different. We always go into the idea like Tupac is alive. People see him around forever.
Yeah.
Which is that's might be a totally different one we should talk about. There's like video I've seen and pictures of the Tupac autopsy videos and stuff, which was always my favorite one. It looked really good. It looked like real. And the point everyone's like the smoking gun was Tupac's still alive, or because the autopsy, his Thug Life tattoo was not on his stomach. Like, the tattoo was gone.
So, are they saying that
that Tupac would still be alive, or maybe there's a clone version? That's actually probably just means so-and-so still. That might be different.
Or the tattoo is fake.
Tattoo is fake. Oh God, no. Tupac's real. Tupac was in nothing but trouble, along with the rest of his band. Tupac would not. Tupac is real to the world.
The Dan Aykroyd movie.
The Dan Aykroyd movie with Chevy Chase and a weird.
Try to bring up as much as possible.
I love talking about Nothing But Trouble.
Yeah.
And Tupac shows up with New Edition or whatever his band was called.
There's also another celebrity replacement.
Who?
Which was Megan Fox.
No.
They're now claiming Megan Fox because if you look at pictures of Megan Fox when she was like 16, she looks like a normal girl.
No, yeah, but I mean that's.
And then like 2 years later,
that's clearly her getting some work done.
Yeah, it's plastic surgery,
which is a shame. Which is a real shame when you can see like. God, that's not to become a celebrity gossip podcast, but when you see like Lindsay Lohan, like, Mean Girls, just wanted to tear that up, just wanted to plow that field. And
then when she suddenly has a deluge of drugs running through her liver and kidneys, and her face wrinkling up, and the amount of work added on to it, it's just the saddest thing. It's so rarely. Maybe the answer to this is when it is good, you don't notice, but there's so mostly. 98% of the time, plastic surgery just ruins a person's face. It turns them into puffy tiger people. Oh, it's a bummer. It's a real bummer. And so, Megan Fox is an imposter. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like people that's the thing is like, you would say an imposter when someone might need the raw talent to pass something else on. But like, Megan Fox is there to be pretty. Is there to be a lust object, not there for like to be witty or like her dying legion of fans. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's people like wouldn't go see a movie because it doesn't have Megan Fox in it, as opposed to whoever the next hot piece of tail is in movies. Like Paul McCartney, I can see people going like, oh yeah, if Paul's dead, the Beatles are over. Like even if they're only early on, or like Tupac does, like maybe we can replace Tupac and like still have the hip hop, California love still go on. But like Megan Fox, if Megan Fox is not around anymore, everyone's like, all right. That's the end of the Megan Fox franchise. That's the end of the Megan Fox franchise. Okay, who else is another desperate good? Megan Fox is gone. If she's dead, we now have an excuse to get a new girl for this franchise, and everyone's okay with her. Like, we can replace her on Transformers 2 or on 4, and no one cares because she's dead. Yeah, but they could have easily replaced her with another actress too. Yeah, exactly. Like without having to make it Megan Fox. If she's hot, like they did in Transformers 3. Exactly. So that happens all the time in movies. There's no reason for them to replace her with a clone. Oh my God, guys, Fabio died in a terrible fire accident. I thought he died when a goose hit him in the face. Maybe. He died what? That happened. A goose hit him in the face? Fabio was on a roller coaster and a goose hit him in the face. That was God saying, you've flown too high to the sun, Fabio. I need to strike you down. But like, Fabio's dead. Oh, we need someone to model our erotic fantasy novels more. Or we need someone to do I Can't Believe He's Not Butter. You would just get another hot guy. You wouldn't say like, oh, there's another strapping guy with like an open shirt we can use to pretend to be like a field hand. Well, guys, the whole attractive men and women that whole thing's gone. Media the entire fancy German fake knight thing. So, in conclusion, Megan Fox being replaced by another person who takes on her identity makes no frickin' sense. No, that seems like a rough one. Out of all of these, I say Megan Fox is still Megan Fox, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the movie is going to be dumb. So, Aaron, you brought like something else you wanted to? I did. I brought my own little mystery. Okay, you've already brought
most of the mystery.
Well,
this is 80% Aaron mystery.
I brought, like, a bunch of little anecdotes, but this is one I thought we could dig into a little bit.
Okay.
Imagine a world where you're rummaging through your grandfather's belongings. And in the bottom of a trunk of old pictures, you find a photograph. The photograph seems strangely familiar. In the face, a man holding an old squirrel hunting rifle, wearing a top hat, maybe a three-piece suit, gold watch. You realize you know that face. You've seen that face before. It's the face of Nicolas Cage.
What?
That's right.
What?
That's right. There's a vast conspiracy going on.
Oh.
Wherein the Illuminati has been secretly harvesting and cloning the same ruling class over the course of millennia.
Including Nicolas Cage.
Especially Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage.
Also seen in this coterie of the ruling elite, Jay-Z in 1930s Harlem.
What?
He is also apparently worth cloning.
Wait, so, alright, what? Are you still doing your silly story? What is happening? Jay-Z?
That's probably good. Hang on.
Jay-Z is in the 1930s?
Jay-Z in 1930s Harlem. Nicolas Cage as an immortal vampire.
I've seen those pictures.
Yeah. There's also Barack Obama as Akhenaten, the Egyptian pharaoh, and his wife, Enkriti.
But there's just those are just mosaic pictures. It wouldn't even look like Obama.
There's apparently some footage of Obama touring a pyramid in which he looks at a hieroglyph and there's a face and it has like ears that are sticking out and he goes, "Oh, that looks like me. Hey, there's me. That's me.
That's me up there.
He's got my ears.
Got my ears.
I'm
not immortal.
The conspiracy theory people went nuts. Like, Obama lets it slip.
Hey,
gotcha.
Would Obama not know, or would Obama?
I think Obama knew, and then was like, in his supreme arrogance as this forever cloned ruling class alien reptoid or whatever.
Yeah,
that's a different one.
He definitely killed an assistant for bringing the tour by that picture. He was like,
right,
bring me around the east bank of the pyramid. Do you want to go by that mural? Don't ask me about it.
Don't ask me about that. That's certainly not me.
There's a.
But I also can't deny it being me
on my chest. And,
so there's this vast conspiracy on the internet of people who have just finding old photos and then making comparisons with contemporary photos of celebrities in approximately the same position. And actually, there's a really funny YouTube scroll that I'll pull up that we can watch.
Which is good because this is a video podcast.
Yeah. Well, we can describe what's going by.
No, we'll have to find. Well, we'll have to wait. We'll have to put these up somewhere. We'll find these.
Yeah.
Don't play your loud YouTube music. I already got a strong theory for why this is.
Okay. Well, the title of this video, if you want to watch it at home, is Illuminati clones, reincarnation, past lives, lookalikes, time travelers. And so, basically, it's just a scroll of
Steven Seagal looking not at all like a fat man from the past.
And then I think that's Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers. That's these are people who would not be cloned. Jay Leno. That doesn't even look like Jay Leno. That's just
no, it doesn't.
A giant man.
Oh, there's Paul McCartney
as a man who looks.
That looks
Paul McCartney looks like that's the same picture of a man
isn't
who looks
Pat
like
Boone. Like
probably. Okay, that's kind of great. There's a picture of. We should not be describing pictures
Egyptian
right now.
bust.
Yeah, we look at these while we're talking over. So here's my theory. This completely, but I will say some of these celebrities would not be able to rule. Like I could understand a few just the best people in the world, like the best, like Michael Jackson. If you said he's from a long line of DNA that's regenerated over and over again as clones, because there's something in that mind that creates music. Like, and he was in the 1800s, he invented all of the great songs before they were recorded. Like all of the great blues standards that were just lost to time.
Right.
To whoever's credit, Michael Jackson, clone Michael Jackson. But wouldn't you just be able to say that if you believed, I've seen like the pictures of Nicolas Cage, it looks exactly like Nicolas Cage, or Keanu Reeves has that same thing, like Keanu Reeves looks like he's immortal. Wouldn't you also be able to argue that theoretically their DNA is just super potent? Like their genetic structure has something in it that overrides recessive facial, eyes, hair, and everything. Like whoever they mate with,
Uh-huh.
So you're just going to always have, like, the features of Nicolas Cage are always going to be strong.
Yeah.
Like, no matter who he impregnates with his cage seed,
It would just look like Nicolas Cage.
Will look mostly like Nicolas Cage than the female for all time. Female or male, and just it carries over through line. It's just like a.
So you're suggesting that these people aren't clones, but they're ancestors?
I'm saying they're just ancestors. Like I'm saying that their DNA spunk is the equivalent of a red T-shirt in the laundry that just takes over everything and just rubs off and stays through while everything else is just stained by the Cage gene.
By the way, just as a quick aside, the website where I found this is a website called godlikeproductions.com,
Good.
which I have come across numerous times from many crazy conspiracy theories.
Are they the ones that are pushing these conspiracy theories, or are they just the ones that...
It's an open forum of open-minded people that bring them up as if they're just common knowledge.
And say, hey, what if J. Edgar Hoover...
Not what if. It's, I think this conspiracy theory ties in with that one. So it's like, obviously J. Edgar Hoover is a reptoid, but maybe that it might also be tied in with the reincarnation plot.
But here's Elizabeth Taylor with a bunch of eggs. Maybe they're reptile
For instance, the thread that this was found in says, have you ever noticed that some public figures and celebrities seem to look identical to other people, and sometimes people from history? And then they're like, not doppelgangers, but unaging demon vampires. And
what?
And then someone says, LOL, this is one of the most absurd conspiracy theories I've ever read here. And then she replies, FYI, I don't subscribe to reincarnation, but I most certainly subscribe to alien involvement in cloning. Now men are keeping the procedure going since the school.
Wait, so reincarnation, way out of line, but aliens taking humans and making clone versions of humans.
Obviously.
So she's more of that's fine. She's a scientist. She believes in aliens and cloning and DNA replication, but reincarnation, like that's the gods.
And then
that's for fools.
And the person replies back, I'm not insulting. I simply don't buy this alien theory. I'd rather believe in reincarnation than green dudes flying in their spaceships around.
That's who want to listen to this, I think. I think we want these people to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theory.
Those wingnuts.
Those hard-working Americans with their money to spend and their patronage is very much appreciated on this podcast.
Yes. So, let's maybe kind of circle this back around. Why doppelgangers at all is my question.
Why do we as a society think doppelgangers exist, or what would be their purpose?
Why do we think they exist? Why does it keep coming up over and over again?
I think we're narcissists. Maybe. Like, I think it's an idea of, this is obviously not a thought out process, but like, I think there's, instead of us imagining like a different fantastical being that means to hurt us or take our place or is more important than us, it's kind of like, I'm so important, of course some other thing would want to replace me. Like,
yeah. No, there's
life
definitely
is
something
interesting.
narcissistic about it. To assume that there's a creature out there that even cares that you exist, let alone wants your shitty life.
I have a Kinko's club card with $20 credit on it, and a monster would love to get it.
Yeah.
Would love to get their slimy little hands on it. So you stay away, monsters. I will make as many copies and prints as I want.
Yeah. I cannot think of anybody who would want my life.
I think no one would.
If they had the ability to doppelgang anybody, why would they want to commute for 45 minutes in traffic and have to eat salads instead of delicious steaks?
Oh, man. You want to doppelgang someone with like a high metabolism.
Yeah.
Preferably like famous, but not too famous, like so they can enjoy their life. You want like a Joe Pantoliano. You want to doppelgang Joe, the guy Cypher from The Matrix.
I don't know.
You want to doppelgang him because
Joe Pantoliano.
I think that's his name. You want to doppelgang him so you can give his reliable money, live his life, get some hot trim, as much as Joe Pantoliano wants, because everyone wants to give a Cypher. And just like, yeah, you know what? I look kind of like a rat man, but it's fine. I got a comfortable life. I can go down to the grocery store and no one bothers me. Not too much. That's who you want to doppelgang.
There is a possible scientific explanation for this, I will say.
Okay.
But has nothing to do with creatures out to replace you. In Nature magazine in 2006, they were doing a study where they stimulated the left tempoparietal junction of the human brain, which is a little region that's kind of like your back left corner of your brain. And when they stimulated it, people saw doppelgangers of themselves suddenly
just around?
appear. Yeah, they just appeared and like stood there, looked at them, and then when they stopped stimulating it with electricity, they disappeared.
Are they just prodding it with like an electric stick?
Pretty much. Or they might be using magnets. I don't know.
Magnets, yeah.
Magnets, bro. So what that part of the brain does is that it plays a crucial role in self-distinction, like being able to distinguish yourself from other people.
Okay.
And it also plays a role in theory of mind, which is your ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
So, and when this experiment happened, were they seeing people just appear out of nowhere, or were they becoming doppelgangers? Like, were the scientists experimenting on them in front of their eyes, becoming doppelgangers?
I think they just saw someone else suddenly become them, so they could no longer distinguish from
that's
this
different.
lizard.
That's way different than suddenly, like, I'm looking at three scientists with their stick in my brain, and then suddenly there's a fourth person in the room, and it's me, just watching and just wringing his hands. Just like, yeah.
Well, that may have been the case too. I don't know. Maybe it's different for each character. So, what I'm going to put out there, and this is totally my own theory, is that you notice that a lot of these guys that these doppelgangers are having to do are artists, right? Mm-hmm. So, an artist's job is basically to put yourself in someone else's shoes constantly, to just imagine what that other person is like. So maybe those people are more prone to that malfunctioning, and then they'll see this hallucination of themselves coming to get them.
That's deep, man.
It is deep.
I like more my theory about Angela WK being kidnapped and killed by the Taco Bell people.
That's the truth.
That's the truth.
That's the hard truth.
Do you want to just leave it on that thought? I mean, the doppelganger thing is very interesting. I would love to know, anyone that's listening, if you have a doppelganger story that you think is really interesting and different than these, other than just, I saw a man on the street and he looked like me. If there's a different one, more than just a celebrity replacement, like, let us know. Let us know if there's one we're missing or we're
go ahead and email us at paranoiashoppe@gmail.com.
We've totally made up that email already.
Yes, we have. I did.
Oh, did we? Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay, glad we did. Or you could tweet at us. You can tweet at Twitter. You could use Twitter and tweet at me. I'm Quantum Theory. QUANDTUM Theory. Aaron is good. Aaron. Sorry to speak for you so much.
That's fine.
I just feel like I feel like I want to end. I'm done talking to you.
Okay.
I think doppelgangers are, if anything, they're going to be a sentient race that's trying to take over one by one. More pod person seems way more likely than spectral beings that want anything to do with this.
And I'm banking on the doppelgangers being a time traveler from the future, being yourself, coming back and looking at your own sad.
That's kind of fun.
Your sad life.
I think at one point though, I would walk by myself as my future self. My present self, I would walk by my present self. Just go, hang in there, buddy. Like, just whispering, like, hang in, just like hand on the back.
Well, then that would just butterfly effect.
No, but then you just and as soon as you do it, you just feel a little bit better. Like one wrinkle on your face instantly just goes away.
But a butterfly effect, and then you wind up just like, you know what? I do deserve to start doing methamphetamines today.
Yeah,
this really messes up Looper.
And you just run away as an old man.
All right, so just to close this out, we're going to do a quick little reading.
We should explain this for sure.
In the 1960s, there was a man named the Amazing Criswell. You may have heard of him.
You haven't.
You may have heard of him, though, because he was in a lot of Ed Wood's old movies.
Oh, okay.
He's at the beginning of the movie Plan 9 from Outer Space. But he was a real supposed psychic that made a whole host of predictions that all turned out to be absolutely wrong. Or right.
As far as we don't know, have we researched all of these predictions?
Well, they end abruptly at the year 2000 when the world ends.
So they cover how many years though?
I think 1965 to the year 2000.
He's still not alive? I assume he's dead.
No, he died.
He died.
But we have here one of his predictions from his great book called Criswell Predicts.
Oh, very simply titled.
Yes. So without further ado, we present our little segment here. Criswell Predicts this week. The Prince of Darkness, 1976 to 1988. Along the highway of life, we are still to meet the greatest despot of the 20th century, who will be known as the Prince of Darkness. From the plains of Asia will come this disciple of the devil, and spread his power across the land and the sea, and the Prince of Darkness will turn back the clock 1,000 years. He'll return women to a life of slavery and servitude. Gone will be the vows of marriage, the right to vote, and the power of choice. This tyrant of mankind will force woman to become a public prostitute and servant of the state, and he will alone and enjoy the moneys of their shame. But this demon of greed will not stop at the humiliation of women. He will enter the house of God with the torch and saber, and he will remove the name of God from the books and from the tongues that dare to speak it. Then after a span of 13 years, he will be overthrown. The period of his infamous rule will be from 1975 to 1988.
Suck it, women. You get the wrong side of the road. Short straw.
Men are alright, though.
Yeah, suck it. All right, thanks for listening. This
Thanks.
has been Paranoia Shop. Goodbye.
Again.
This has been an Explosomagico podcast production. For more information, please visit explosamagico.com.